I want to talk a little bit here about Chris Pratt. Just yesterday, I was talking about how Chris Pratt is proof that the Overton window has shifted very, very far left in Hollywood when this guy is considered right-wing to the point where they're calling him out for things as awful as hunting and as awful as liking the military. Granted, I'm not a huge fan of the military either, but at least what the government does with the military, not the military, but what the government does with the military, I should say. But now he's in trouble again because he made a Mother's Day post that they didn't like. This happened a couple of years ago. You know the thing on Twitter where when you say, I like apples, apples are my favorite, and some douche canoe has to come on and be like, so you hate oranges?
Douche canoe.
Like that, you know that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person has to come on and say, like, because you say this, it means that you hate this.
Someone always wants to fight.
Yeah. So he praised his wife. His wife's name is Catherine. His mom's name is Kathy. There's some Oedipus there, I'm sure, just a little bit. And he praised his mother-in-law, Maria Shriver. He's married to, speaking of Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's married to his daughter. Mm-hmm. So he praised her, and people got mad because he didn't praise his ex-wife, Anna Faris. And I'm just like, I keep hearing the term blended family a lot these days. It's become kind of a buzzword in certain areas of the media. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you praise your ex-wife? Because 2 years ago, he did a thing where he praised his wife for giving birth to their gorgeous, healthy child because the child he has with his first wife with special needs was born premature. And so they're like, oh, so you're unhappy with
that one is so ugly to assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Horrible.
That one's awful.
And now they're doing it again this time around. They're basically saying the same thing.
I mean, look, I have an ex-wife and I'm not in any rush to talk about it. Okay? That's all there is to it. So, like, I get it. If, like, he's got a wife, that he's got a family, and, he might be totally cool with her.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not in any rush to be like, oh, ex-wife, like, no. Do your thing, and you do your thing over there. Like,
they also point out that Anna Faris, the ex-wife, did not make a Happy Father's Day post on his special day.
Let them be separate. They separated for a reason. Let them be separate.
So basically, yeah. In 2021, somebody said, like, how dare you praise your new wife for giving you a healthy child, because supposedly that means that he doesn't love his child that was special needs, right? Which is clearly not true.
We got a $20 super chat there. Hypothesis. Back in my day, there actually were only 150 Pokemon. My brother's kid turned 2 around the time Ash finally left the anime. Let the indoctrination begin.
Look, I'm the same. I had Red and Blue Pokemon on Game Boy. I watched the television show, and there's this amazing video from this account called like 90s Kid Life where he does the song "Return of the Mac," but it's an Ash Ketchum theme song. You have to hear this. It's incredible. I wish I could play it on air, but it would take me a minute to go and find it. But it was absolutely incredible. So it's just Chris Pratt can't really win when it comes to Twitter. Have you noticed that?
No, he cannot, because God forbid he has opinions that are not the opinions of communists.
Yes.
Well, did he respond or just let it blow over?
He's kind of, this is what they like about him. They like him because he doesn't say anything back, so they feel like they get to just use him as a punching bag, and he doesn't respond. He actually responded later after the fact about the original comments about my wife for giving me a gorgeous, healthy daughter, where he says, like, oh, my son's going to read that one day and he's going to be appalled. I'm like, your kid's not going to go back and read your... Like, I don't know if your kid's going back and reading your Mother's Day posts from 15 years from now once he's an adult, but maybe I'm wrong. Like, that seemed like he was kind of capitulating in a weird way, right?
Yeah.
But somebody said on the old one, they said, this literally is so gross. It reads like, my wife gave me a healthy child, unlike you, Anna Faris.
I hate everything about that.
Yeah, it's kind of awful, isn't it? Like, I would never want to be a celebrity. I would never want to be somebody at that level who has to, like, deal with stuff like that and actually have social media. Like, it would be a gift if I were him to just have a social media manager and not have to do anything on my own.
Perhaps
in
he
regards
does.
to, like, he might.
I feel like a lot of celebrity social media isn't run by that person.
Yeah. Like, also, it's like, then it's like weird. Like, you're just some social media manager writing some lovey-dovey, like, Mother's Day post to people.
Cardi
like,
B's run by Cardi B.
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj. I think Nicki Minaj is too.
because they do their lives.
They're hilarious.
They do really funny Instagram lives.
They're so great.
They're kind of like the funnier version of an AOC Instagram live. Remember the one where she was like over the sink and like she like put the can in the garbage disposal?
No.
Right? Does anybody remember that?
Wait,
Maybe
what?
I'm misremembering that. Like she put like a chat fact check me on that one. Did she put like
we got a $20
That sounds dangerous.
$20 super chat from It Is I. Hi, Phil. I can't afford for you to see this on IRL, but I've never come across someone whose political philosophy I identify with so much. You make me feel not alone, and there are times where that's more than I can say. Thank you. Cheers, man. I appreciate that.
And that's hard to find in today's world, right?
I mean, just hate communists. That's all you got to do. That's all you gotta
I
do.
found
You're
that
not alone.
That's right.
the ability for like even if nobody else told you this, but the ability to get like one negative message from somebody that you were close to can make you feel more alone than 100 hateful comments from people that you don't know. In a lot of ways, because it's worse when it hits closer to home, when it's somebody you share experience with. Like, here's the thing. Like, if somebody says something negative to me, like, we'll use the channel, for example, right? If somebody says something negative to me, it actually cuts worse if they don't say other negative things. But if somebody says, like, 10 negative things, I'm just like, okay, dude just hates me. Fine.
Well, I mean, for the most part, like, the hate that I get, it's almost all people that are like that, where I am on their list, like, and they're after me.
But they hate everyone. It's not just you.
They've got hammers
no, I
and
mean,
sickles in the
a lot of times, or there's a lot of people that really have it in for me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the
I
music.
can relate.
A lot of people. I can.
See, I'm
imagine.
the opposite. I've steered pretty clear of it.
I'm just super well liked.
I'm just too much of a milk toast. I'm the actual fence sitter here, and that's the thing. Like I'm inoffensive for the most part.
There are people that are strongly politically motivated that are in the music community that do not like me, and they're bloggers, and so every chance they get, they will blog about how bad of a person I am, how much they don't like me, et cetera, et cetera. So
I think the same thing happened to Eric D. July because
that happens. Yeah, definitely.
Like,
they got away from the music industry fairly well sooner than we did. Like, all that remains, like, we're talking to different labels about releasing our next stuff, but it's like,
do they really want all the baggage that comes with that?
that's the thing. Like, I got an offer today, and it's a really great offer and stuff, but it's like, I mean, it'd be a great offer if I wanted a label, but I'm kind of like, do I really want a label? I can put it out, and we can promote it and stuff. I can do all that on my own. So it's like, I don't know, but we'll see. It might be something that we can work out, but that's where it's at. So.
And they got away from it sooner than you guys did.
Yeah, they were doing their own thing a long time ago, like 5-6 years ago.
So they got in on the ground floor of that when that was going on, and now there's like Tom McDonald is a good example of somebody who puts in a crazy amount of work, but you reap all the benefits of that, right?
But Tom McDonald's also great.
Yeah,
so it's crazy amount of work, but he's really good too.
Well, you have to have both the work ethic and the talent to be able to pull that off. It's kind of like lightning in a bottle. It has to strike at just the right time with just the right. You have to have just the right message in a lot of ways. Like there's a weird kind of in between where people talk about like, oh, they assume that somebody got lucky, right? That seems to be a common, like, if you don't actually follow someone's career, you assume that just because you're starting to hear about them now. And I fall victim to this, where there are definitely bands where I'm like, that band's a psyop. Like, that band is not, they did not just show up one day and just appear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a band called The Score, total psyop. There's literally nothing. It's just like, it's like even worse Imagine Dragons, if you can picture. So it's like that. And I'm just like, nobody just woke up one day and was just like, this is going to be pop. Like, somebody had to wake up one day and just be like, this is popular now.
I mean, there are bands that people in the industry try to make happen.
Yeah.
Frequently they are successful because there is a plan that works.
The marketing push.
Yeah, there's a marketing plan that does work. You have a good hook, you have the right look, and you get the right marketing push, and you can make a band happen. Sometimes it doesn't. There are some bands out there that I'm not going to poke names at, but there's some bands out there. You see them on a lot of big festivals, and they have good spots. And they kind of came out of nowhere, and it doesn't really seem like they've got a whole lot of stuff going on outside of like the industry or people that are in media talking about them. So,
and you can kind of tell when it's organic and when it isn't. Yep. Yeah. The funny thing is, the same thing happens with actors. There's absolutely actors that Hollywood tries to like make the next big thing. The big inside joke used to be like, if you see a movie and it says "and introducing," it's about to be somebody who's never going to make it, because like if they use the "and now introducing" label, it's kind of like a jinx. Like they're not going to end up not succeeding because of that.
Poor guy.
Skating used to do a lot of that, like where like companies would release a video profile with somebody who was like a new talent, and they would put "now introducing this person who's like now supposed to be like the next big thing in the industry."
Then nothing happens.
I think skating was more successful at that than Hollywood was. They tried to do that with
smaller world and community of people watching it though too.
How do you feel about that? Do you enjoy the community aspect of skating, or do you kind of feel like it needed to be treated more like a business?
It's definitely become like more of a corporate thing, which in some ways is good, in some ways isn't. Like it's introduced a lot of people to skating who never would have been interested in it in the first place.
If you wanted to keep going.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a weird world for sure.
I've always found that a lot of times using the phrase community was something that it felt like the industry leaders would do to kind of justify not paying people what they should be paying them. They're like, like it became like a cope in a weird way, where it's like a lot of people, it's like they're not making there's people that were talents that needed to make the money to keep around that ended up having to go back to school and get regular jobs.
Where they get paid in like exposure.
Yes. Yeah. And it was just one of those things where like, for me, I never had a problem with that. Like I knew where my talent level was, ground level. I was never going to be the dude who was going to move hundreds of thousands of pairs of skates. But I did, like I had a wheel with my name on it and stuff like that.
I've seen it. It's cool.
But it's like there were certain talents that should never have been allowed to leave the industry and go be like chiropractors, go be, they should have been able to make a living in that sport. Yeah. But as we know, like with a lot of these things, people are replaceable. And a lot of times they don't want to put the money in. Like you were saying too,
some people prefer the structure and feeling like they have a day-to-day thing. Yeah. And maybe that's healthier for some people too. But, yeah, there's like a lot of good skaters who you never hear about. Yeah. And it's just the right place, right time never happened.
And as you get older, you also realize that like from the time I came up in the industry, at least in rollerblading, like there just weren't people doing it that were older yet. So we had to be the first generation of people that proved that you could do it into your 30s and do it at a consistently high level. Whereas before that, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm 22. My knees, I'm done.
Now there's so many people like that, or like old
Tony
pros
Hawk
who are
is older
still,
than I am.
Yeah, he's been doing it forever.
55?
And a lot of them, like people have now, they learned to take better care of their health.
Yeah,
they're taking supplements. They're doing the right core exercises. They stretch right. Back in the day, that's not what the industry was. The industry was punk rock. And the industry was all like you would roll out of bed and just go skate handrails after like basically just, you're still hungover and you're going out and doing extremely dangerous stuff. That's what the industry was before it became before skateboarding became corporatized, at least in our sport.
But like for someone like Tony Hawk, that's benefited him majorly. He's done so many different brand deals and like more commercial stuff. Yeah. And so many cameos. He's in a ton of films. And
he is, isn't he? He's kind of like he's like the Ed Sheeran.
He's made a career out of it in a way that a lot of people would never reach.
Yeah. I enjoy the skateboarding documentaries on YouTube, like the ones that like break down like individual people. Like those are kind of like because there's a lot of fascinating stories about people that came up in like the gold rush period where there was a lot of money early on, and then they have these crazy stories about what's happened to them. Yeah, and we've been following Bam Margera because he's going through like the worst of the worst right now.
Our bass player Matt used to be in CKY.
Really?
Yeah, so he's seen some stuff. Yeah, I've heard some stories that I will not be relating on.
It was the 90s. It was the early 2000s. It was a different time.
Yeah.
In 2000,
I think social media changed it a lot too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for us, like in our industry, not to go off on a tangent, but like it was one of those things where when I got started, you were expected to make video parts. So you would film a part, it would be in a video, or you would submit clips to filmers who would put them in the montages of those videos, right? And I was like, I'm going to put stuff on YouTube. People weren't really doing that at the time because YouTube was fairly new. It was like 2005. So like right around the time YouTube started, I was like, look, DVD players are going to go away. they're not going to be long for this world. Like eventually this medium is going to change and look where it is now. Like I've had to explain to people, I'm like, there was a time where you had to literally have a friend who had a camera.
Yeah.
Now everyone has a camera in their pocket. It was just
and there are people who just post clips on Instagram and do partnerships and they make money off of that despite not being like supported by a company necessarily, like skateboarding company.
Yeah. Or they have Patreons. A lot of them do Patreons and do their own stuff. It's never been a better time to make stuff independently. You just have to have the work ethic to go do it.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's a very different thing. So thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.